plumbing, and boiler experts. With 5 generations of experience, the Vernon Ellsworth Hand team is dedicated to honest, high-quality service every time. Visit VEHBrothers.com to schedule your install, maintenance, or repair appointment today.
The 850 ESPN Cleveland Hotline is proudly brought to you by MGM Northfield Park. Find your fun at MGM.
Coming in 30.
Don't let biased algorithms or degree screens or exclusive professional networks or stereotypes. Don't let anything keep you from discovering the half of the workforce who are stars. Work our skills through alternative routes rather than a bachelor's degree. It's time to tear the paper ceiling and see the stars beyond it. Find out how you can make stars part of your talent strategy at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
Hey, it's Tony Grossi, and you're listening to the home of the Browns, 850 ESPN Cleveland, WKNR Cleveland, a Good Karma Brands radio station.
Coming to you live from the Cross Country Mortgage Campus in Berea, Ohio. This is Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet. Now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Here are your hosts, Bo Bishop and Nathan Zagura.
You guys ready?
Oh, baby. All right, let's do it live on a Thursday edition of the program. Merely Bo and Gibbe. Hello, Gibbe.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, I'm real well. Sun's out.
Yeah.
For, what do we got? Today, tomorrow, and then tomorrow night it starts to get.
Yeah, I feel
not
like
what we
that's
need.
the case. Yeah, because the wife was like, hey, we got to get some stuff done around the yard today.
Yeah, I got the people. They're going to come this afternoon to do the mowing. They're going to knock that out, and because it's
I
getting
am those people later on today.
Yes,
Zero
you are.
turn.
You are. I would like to do that, and I do think that the boys are getting pretty close to. They're not old enough to handle a zero turn. That
No.
would end very poorly.
Correct.
But I was. It's funny when I think about what I was doing at age 12, 10, and 8 versus to what they are doing at age 12, 10, and 8. It was dramatically different. I definitely was driving the riding lawnmower by the time I was Bootsy's age, for sure. But again, what were you going to run into?
Sure.
You know what I mean? It was kind of infinite. You just drive it straight. I mean, what are you going to do? There's not a whole lot of damage you can do.
No.
But yeah, I would like to move off of, hopefully in the next couple of years, from landscaping to in-house operations is what I would like. Zero turn. I think I get great pleasure out of mowing the lawn. I think it's great. It's
Absolutely.
therapeutic for me.
I love it.
I like the patterns. I like the vibration. Have a pop.
That's why I got 2 cup holders.
See? How aren't you winning?
One.
And you just go.
Turn, up, down, turn, up.
Come on.
There we go. Yeah, no, it's.
I like it. I liked it.
I do like doing it. And I feel I think when you mow the lawn, there is a sense of accomplishment when you see the lines
Yeah.
and you take the pride and take the time and you don't just race through it.
I couldn't agree with you more. There are so few things. So it's interesting. Our job, what you and I have chosen to do as a livelihood, we don't physically build things, but we build things with audio, or back in my old days, visually, in addition to audio. But you build it over the course of a time. A red light comes on and you start talking, and then a red light goes off and you're done.
Yeah.
And then it's off to Pluto. And you don't see it again. The next day you got to build it all over again. So I think probably why you and I have a similar feeling about when I used to mow the lawn and why you still do and why you get that sense of accomplishment. There aren't that many things that take a long time to do. You get to see your full accomplishment.
Yeah.
You look back on it. I think about people like that are builders and those type of things. Like there's a lot going on in a day.
Yeah.
That's
like
it's a job well done.
The next morning when you're taking the dogs out, you're like, look at this. Look at this. All right.
Look at your
Looks
giant
pretty
poopy
good.
pad.
Yeah, it's great.
The grass is so long that the buddy bombs are nearly when Dark Helmet was
The sun's out.
it's sun.
When it's just full sun.
Now, to be fair, it did rain nonstop for a month, so it probably banked a lot of the good rain.
Sure.
which could be a part of it. But yes, no, it's out of control. So you're getting it done today? You're
Yeah,
mowing today?
we will definitely be getting it done today. I mean, we're out of town Saturday.
Oh yeah, you're gone
for
That's
a
right.
couple days, and it's got to get. I got to keep ahead of it.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
you
it
can't chase
becomes a big problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Can't have
and then like yesterday playing golf, the golf league, the Hooligans League, back better than ever.
Was this the debut week?
For league play, yeah. So
League
like the
play.
first couple rounds you're playing, you're establishing the old handicap.
Oh, I like it.
And then yesterday was the first match play of the year. And the rough was on the final hole, I almost hearkened back to the Memorial Golf Tournament days. I could not see my shoes. And I'm like, I hit the ball, and I'm having a great round. I ended up shooting a 45.
Yeah.
I feel good
That's
about
great,
it.
yeah.
Considering what the scores have been over the past, I feel like I'm doing pretty well. I get to that hole, and I mean, I have 2 good shots. I'm about 160 yards out. I mean, it took me 3 to get to the green. I just could not get out of the rough. Just in the air for like 50 yards and just down right back into the cabbage. I'm like, can we mow this?
You got to get those things. The pace of play is damaged tremendously by that.
Well, yeah, there are a few people in our league that the whole pace of play escapes them, and then there are those in the league. And
so I would rather be with those guys than the rain delay guy. I'll take a round over in an hour and a half over rain delay guy.
Sure,
I'll go that way.
I do, but I'm also like, I mean, there's 24 of us in this league, man.
Furthermore,
Like,
where are you going too? If there's 24 in the league, if you're playing an hour and a half pace, it's not like you're going to go ahead. There's somebody that's waiting on the next tee box.
that was the
problem.
debate last night.
Yeah. So there probably just needs to be a universally accepted amount, like a shot clock per hole.
So it got brought up last night
Like
that
a timer.
everyone should have whistles, and there should be a whistle. So the group in front of you
Yeah.
is like, oh, we're getting whistled.
Well,
we
what
better
is
pick up the pace.
what is a reasonable? Is 12 minutes a reasonable time for 4 people to play a hole on with carts?
Yeah, I think that might be probably too much.
Is that too much? Should it be 10? 10 minutes with 4
Probably.
people? Well, 4 people, you're humming. I mean,
I don't.
by the time if you go from the time that you walk up to the tee box, I think 10 minutes is probably humming with 4, unless you have
so
4
maybe
carts.
12. I mean, that might make more sense. It's just under 2 hours at that point.
Yeah, right.
Like if
right.
you're an hour and a half, hour and 45
yeah, that's
with
that's
a
the spot you
foursome,
gotta be at.
yeah, that's where you want to be.
Yeah,
You know, it's fine. That was great last night.
yeah,
You know,
it's a win.
It's 70. It was 75 degrees. It was
Perfect.
beautiful.
Yeah, the pollen's crazy.
Awful.
I'm
My
getting
one
crushed.
eye is just there's just water basically coming out of it.
I sat down in one of the Adirondack chairs that we have out, and I got up, and my whole back was just covered in pollen dust. It's brutal. Absolutely brutal.
Not great.
Not great.
Was there a little pool time last night?
Always time for a little pool time. They have big excitement for the pool this time of year. Much less excitement for the pool by the time you get into August, September. You're kind of like, go use it. Why? But now it's like every opportunity
It's new.
they're in. Yeah, yeah. And we had. Did I tell you that Buddy Garrity jumped in the chaos that came with that?
No.
So he's 18 months. He's terrified of it.
Okay.
Now he's a golden retriever, so like it's in the brochure.
Yeah.
So last year, when we opened it, I brought him in a couple of times, and he would just panic. And I was talking to my pool guy, and he's like, honestly, if he don't like it, don't force it. It's a mess. You get hair everywhere in all the filters. You got to clean him because you can't have we have saltwater pool, but there's still chlorine in it, so like you can't have that on him. You got to wash him off, which that's a pure joy anytime you get to do that.
Loads of fun.
And then I worry about any sort of damage that he could do to himself first and foremost, then secondly to anything else. So I was cooking dinner. This would have been Tuesday night, and Bootsy and Beamsy were in the pool, and I heard a scream. So, pool kids, God Almighty, what's happened? Do I got to jump? Am I jumping in? What am I doing? And I had a platter of chicken that I was going to put on the grill that I was walking out towards. So as I walk outside, Bootsy is sprinting. First thing I do is I go head count. Where are my heads? So I had 2. I spot the head. Okay, everyone's alive. We're fine. So Bootsy comes sprinting up. Dad, buddy jumped to the pool. He jumped to the pool. And I go, all right. Like, it's going to be okay.
Okay.
Well, they were in such a panic about it, I guess because I clearly have talked to them about not necessarily wanting him in there if he can avoid it, while acknowledging that if he loves it, go ahead, enjoy yourself, be good exercise for him, whatever. And I'll deal with the consequences with the filters and all that. So anyway, apparently Beamsy had lifted him out of the pool, kind of helped him get out of the pool. So while Bootsy's explaining this to me, I'm sitting here with the chicken up by the grill. The dog comes bounding up, comes right up to me because typically he's looking for snacks, and he shakes.
Not great.
Now, dog residue all over me, all over the chicken.
You can burn that off, right?
So my natural reaction is to punch the dog in the face. Now,
no, wrong.
I did not punch the dog in the face.
Correct.
I did yell rather sternly and gave him a little bit of a, kind of a shove. And then he shook again, and it was all right. So then I made the decision. So what do I do? So because the chicken had been marinating, like, what do I even do? I just cooked it.
It'll cook off. It's a hot temperature.
Yeah, I just cooked it. That was it. My wife doesn't know I do this show anyway, so it's not like she'll ever know. But that's how we handled that on that particular night.
All right.
That way.
I had a conversation. My buddy is getting an in-ground pool put in at his house.
Uh-huh.
We were discussing the temperature of said pool.
Okay.
Did I have it right at 82 for you?
Oh, no.
Higher.
Here's the deal on it. In the summer, when it's hot, then I will set it at like 85, and then it will naturally, because the auto cover, it'll heat to, upwards of 90, and then it'll when you take it off, it'll go a little bit under. This time of year, I'm always at 88. This is my thinking on it. The Great Rock. This is my thinking on it. We've got probably 70 days out of the entire year at most that you're going to use this thing.
Yep.
At most. The real answer is you're probably looking at about maybe 40 days of swimming total. I don't want the temperature of the pool to be the excuse.
Yeah. It's in. It's paid for.
It's warm.
Get in the pool.
Go. So what that also opens up for, if you keep it warmer, is it opens up for night swims, those type of things. Even as because we don't close until November. So even in October, like when it gets like cold and stuff, like you do a little polar plunge, except it's 90.
Yeah.
And that's a win. So that's what we do. The one thing about that is that does get really hot, and you need to pull the cover off from time to time to kind of let it breathe because of the way that it's put together. But that's what we're at.
Okay. All right. Good to know.
In the summer, a lot of times, like in July, I'll just turn the heater off. I'll run the pump so it circulates, but I just turn the heater off because the cover by itself heats it plenty.
Yeah. That's how it was with our pool.
Yeah.
The cover alone would
take
care of it in the summer.
No. Yeah, you're good with that for sure.
Yep.
On that side of it. But yeah, you got to use the thing, man. If you're going to have it, every time I look at it, I just go, how do I get tucked into this thing?
Yeah.
But it's 30, 40 dates a year, which is I guess is kind of the win on it. So that's the way that it goes. It is a mailbag Thursday edition. Get us your questions. You can tweet those to us at Browns_daily. Your Twitter as well can go on the BGSU Gibbs. You can do that. This is a big, and this can be on any number of topics. This is a big day. This is the end for Uno and Griff.
Yep.
It is over. I'm very much saddened by this. I don't know what we're going to do without you. I don't know that we just could continue doing the show, or if it should just the next level should go from 1 to.
Unfortunately, we have to go forward.
Just let them go straight through. I don't.
Next level, 1 to 7 every day. Have fun.
Yeah, maybe Tone would love to pick up an extra couple hours.
Sure,
he can just go to 3, or the 2, and then next level goes 2 on. Maybe
everybody wins.
That feels like a win. I don't know how we're going to do it. So one thing that came to my attention, I was unaware of this. I was unaware that a certain prominent social media personality and fan of this show, and I would say a valued contributor to this show, has been trying to ascertain a visual of Griff for quite some time.
That's correct. This happened yesterday.
I was unaware that this was an issue. And then what I also was unaware of was that Griff has gone to great lengths to remain unidentifiable.
Also correct. Yeah, this was a conversation we had. Griff says he loves being in the shadows and doesn't want to be on camera.
The higher lower segment yesterday, I'm like, Griff, you need to be out here. Like all four of you, you guys get your moment here.
Sure.
And he's like, nope, I'm good.
So said individual is still searching and might continue to search.
Well, your Uncle Bo decided to intervene with this search.
Okay.
And so I have helped this prominent, valued contributor on social media to the show to ascertain photographic evidence of Griff. I did.
I thought about doing it last night, so I'm glad that you ended up going forward because I did think about it last night.
I did it. And so there will now, I'm not going to say that it is a recent picture.
Oh, no.
that I found. I won't say that. But it's been done. The package has been delivered. So that is my going away present to you, Griff. Uno, I'm just going to give you all my bourbon.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I think that ends poorly.
Not for me.
I don't know about that, Uno. I don't know about that.
To be determined.
To be determined, yeah.
That might end poorly for you.
Yeah. Well, we'll have more on you guys. You've both crushed it, and we'll have more on that as the program goes along. We did have some. What do we have here? We have some draft grades, Gibbe, from Matt Miller and Field Yates.
You know, it was interesting. Matt Miller listed his top 100 picks from the draft, and Field Yates had his favorite picks from each round. They both consensus. Cornerback Miles Harden getting a lot of run. He was the
seventh rounder.
According to Matt Miller, he was the top Browns player taken.
And he was taken in the 7th round. He was our favorite of our draft picks. That was our 7th rounder.
Yeah.
This is the kid out of South Dakota, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And then, and obviously, our new defensive tackle from the Ohio State University,
Mr. Michael,
was the second favorite player. So those two made the top 100 for Matt Miller. But then Field Yates, in his favorite picks each round, listed Miles Harden the same thing. Really like Miles Harden.
That's great. I hope it all comes to fruition. It's, I think it was on Monday's show where I read that quote that a draft analyst had on Patrick Mahomes about how it was such a risky gamble. They gave him the Mahomes pick by the Chiefs a C-. Such a risky gamble. His off-platform throws. He doesn't stay in the pocket. He leaves clean pockets. All of the things, quite honestly, that Mahomes does now. He just so supremely gifted that he can do it. And it's just kind of a reminder. Nobody knows anything.
Nope.
They don't. We have really smart people in this building who go through a process. They apply the process to the draft, and they have more hits than misses. But there are misses. And sometimes you can't see them coming. Well, you can never see a miss coming. The thing that's really tricky is you go back retroactively and look at something through a lens, and you say, well, how could you have picked Anthony Schwartz ahead of Amon St. Brown? What were you thinking? No, guess what? The whole league passed on him.
Correct.
Right?
Like it was round 3 before that guy got taken.
Like you can't crown the Patriots for drafting Brady. They drafted him in the 6th round. Nobody wanted him, including them.
Yeah, they passed on him for 5 rounds prior.
So the draft is hard. It's easier probably in this sport. Probably the easiest is probably the NBA is probably the easiest draft, pretty much for the most part. It's rare that a guy now is like a 2nd-round pick and turns into a superstar like those.
Correct.
There aren't many of those. Most of the time it's sussed out pretty quickly in their 1st-round picks. Even the guys that, whether it be Jokic or Giannis or whatever, like there's some of that with some of the foreign players still, but not much. Most of the time you nail it. The NFL, even with 3 years of college tape to look back on and all of that data, it is inexact.
Yeah. I mean, you can think you know about a player's love of the game or give a damn or
what's their why?
Yeah. I mean, everybody's different. And then there's the guy that gets drafted the last pick in the draft, Mr. Irrelevant.
Right.
Starting in the Super Bowl at
Right.
quarterback. No one believed in him.
No. No.
They took a flyer. 49ers took a flyer, and there you go. So every person's situation is different. And I think that not only that, but like from college to the pro level, it changes. Whatever, maybe it doesn't click for you until you get like it clicked enough that you get the opportunity in the National Football League, and then all of a sudden you take it and run with it. And maybe in college you weren't anywhere near as good as you are currently in the National Football League.
Well, I mean, just take that a step further. In recent years, even at the number one pick, when you talk about blossoming Burrow, Baker, Kyler, all transfers. This year, Caleb transfer. Now, that was because of coach, but nevertheless, he did start as a freshman at Oklahoma, but transfer. More oftentimes than not, it is. I mean, Bryce Young was kind of the outlier. He was recruited at Alabama. CJ recruited at Ohio State. But a lot of these guys, Penix, Nix, Caleb Williams, all transfer guys in this thing. So Drake May was there the whole time. Jaden Daniels transferred Arizona State to LSU. So even with the way that the sport has become at the collegiate level, even more so now, exacerbated by NIL and free transfer and all of it, you just don't know when a guy's going to click. And it's really difficult. So while I appreciate – like these draft guys, because this is their job, right? They're in the content business. They have to churn it out. You appreciate that, but at the same time, like, who the hell knows, man? They don't know any more than anybody else.
Well, and going back to Mahomes, I mean, Texas Tech played zero defense.
No.
But there was no defense being played in that entire conference at that time. It was the first team to 60 points. So you were like, all right, he can throw the ball and he can sling it. Can he do it against the defense?
Yes.
But, I mean, that was the question at the time. Like, that was the big, like, is he talented? Yes. No question he's talented. Can he actually do it against a defense? How big was the actual playbook? Like, there was all of that. I remember that. And beyond exceeding expectations. I mean, they're gonna get a brand new stadium because of him. Yeah, well,
there's no question that is going to that's part of the economic impact of it. And you hit on one, and you think of the value of it. You bring up the stadium issue. The first thing that comes to my mind is Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
If Peyton Manning is not drafted and a hit that he is to the level he is, are the Indianapolis Colts still the Indianapolis Colts? They're playing in the RCA Dome at the time, or the Hoosier Dome previously.
Yeah.
That place was antiquated and done. And because of Manning and his success, they built a palace downtown, which impacted the downtown as much as any stadium NFL team impacted any downtown in America. You get Super Bowls. They've gotten Final Four, Super Bowls, all of it. The Combine stays there, all of it. It's all because they did it, and it's all because of Manning. If Manning ends up if they had gone Ryan Leaf and had gone that way, who knows what became of the Indianapolis Colts?
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, there's that. The Peyton Denver thing didn't go that way, but they already had a system in place.
Well, he allowed what? Do you mean Sean Payton in Denver or Peyton Manning going
Manning.
Denver? Yeah. What that did. So they already had the stadium situation at that point. They were already in Vesco or whatever it's called now, the new Mile High. I think what the Peyton Manning, what his kind of butterfly effect with the Broncos was, it allowed for John Elway a get out of jail free card.
Yeah.
Because Elway couldn't draft a quarterback. Remember? I mean, they tried everybody. They tried drafting all those quarterbacks. He couldn't land on one. He was the GM. He's the head of personnel. And he convinced Manning to go to Denver. And it was between Denver, San Francisco, and Tennessee for Manning.
So.
Were the three that it was. And he didn't want to have to play his brother, so and that was the one where Harbaugh played catch with him in receiver gloves and all that stuff. Different bird, that guy. But that was a part of it. And then, he goes to Denver. They win a Super Bowl. But the year they won the Super Bowl he was a shell of himself.
I mean,
that's the Joe Thomas what if we talked about.
You could. We talk about Peyton Manning when we talk about this, but you could also Tom Brady. I mean, built
There's a great one.
Their new
That's
stadium, and it's the outdoor mall around it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah, that's
Gillette Place.
correct. Yeah, and everything, all of the popularity with them. I've talked to Jimmy Donovan about this, The Voice, and we were talking about where the Patriots were in the pecking order of Boston sports before Brady, and it was Red Sox, Celtics, Bruins, Pats.
Yeah.
And now you talk to people around in the Boston area now, certainly during the Brady years, it was Pats. Like they had jumped above the rest of it. So, yeah, that's the value of these picks and also just the complete uncertainty around all of it. One other thing I wanted to mention. So last night I was watching the CONCACAF Champions League semifinal. So this is the Columbus Crew of Major League Soccer, just down the road in Columbus. They have been one of the best. I mean, you can make an argument it's been the best sports operation in the state of Ohio since HSG took ownership along with the Edwards family. They've won the league twice. They've won the Campeones Cup a couple of years ago, and now they're trying to win the Champions League, CONCACAF Champions League. So they were in Monterey last night. They had won the game in Columbus last week, and then this was the return of it. It is 1-0 in the 45th minute. Monterey. Crew score right before half, which means because of the away goal thing that Monterey now has scored 2 goals in the second half in an effort to advance. So you can kind of just camp it in if you want.
Sure.
You could win. Crew did not do that. They buried them, scored 2 more goals, absolutely dominated, and they've put themselves into position now to play for the CONCACAF Champions Cup. This used to be CONCACAF Champions League, much similar to the UEFA Champions League that happens in Europe. And so they will play Pachuca in the final June 1st and attempt to be just the 4th MLS team to ever win the Champions League. So this is the best teams in MLS and the best teams in Mexican's top division. They play this tournament. They will try to be the 4th team to do it.
Is there a berth in some kind of World Cup
Yes.
of club teams?
So that's a brand new thing. That is the UEFA Club World Cup. That will place in 2025 in America as kind of a precursor to the World Cup, which is in 2026. So in that are teams that they've been qualifying for that for, I think, 4 years. In that will be teams you've heard of like Real Madrid and Bayern Munich and Manchester City. Those teams have qualified for that. And so those teams will be over here next summer participating in that. So the winner of that gets $50 million. The club that wins it gets $50 million. For a team like the Crew, that is an incredible windfall. For Real Madrid, that's about what it costs to pay Kylian Mbappe next year for a week. That's the reality of the financial discrepancies between the two clubs. But it's just unprecedented stuff. And if you have not been down there and you have not gone, what they did with the stadium, what they have done with that franchise, it is everything that city and franchise deserved has been given. They were the first soccer-specific stadium in America with the old Crew Stadium when Lamar Hunt built it, and they've hosted many USA-Mexico games there. I've been to several of them. They're awesome. It was kind of like the unofficial home of U.S. soccer in qualification for the World Cup anytime they play Mexico because they knew they'd get a home field in Columbus.
Sure.
Now there's a bunch of places in northern climate where you can get a home field, but Columbus was kind of the safe haven, and all of those were wins 2-0. They'd call them Dos Aceros for the United States team. So it was a monster. It's really, really cool what they did, and I just think it's remarkable what the Haslam family has done with that ownership and what the Edwards, along with Dr. Pete, who's kind of the one guy down there who's been there. It's just really cool. And it was fun. I mean, it was thrilling stuff. I mean, when the goal goes in 45th minute, you go, okay, you've done it. You're on to the final. So it would be very cool if they could get it done. So good job out of them. All right, get your questions in for the mailbag. We will get into that at 2:30. D. Orlando Ledbetter, he had the pressing questions about Penix, right, to the front office there?
We might actually go a parade of stars in the 2 o'clock hour.
Oh, a little tease.
I believe Andrew Marchand will join us at 2 o'clock.
Oh, fun.
D. Orlando at 2:15. And a mailbag with Griff and Uno at 2:35.
There you go. We're off and running. Listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Champions League, the free gaming community for Browns fans around the world. Visit cleveland.browns.com/Champions League to join in on the fun now. Well, he did it. He did it.
It's
BT
beautiful.
did it. Here's the tweet from Browns Therapy. Who do you think you are? You are
retweeted it.
Griff. Farewell, my sweet prince. Come on, that's perfect, Griff.
It's pretty good.
He's got to be thrilled. This is his guy.
You've officially made it, man.
This is his guy. That's Pete Weber, right? Isn't that Pete's
Yeah.
big move? I'm him. You explained that on the air. It's the perfect GIF for the perfect human. Uno, you're his mouthpiece. Is he happy? Are you happy with this?
Yes, thank you. I really appreciate it.
It's pretty great, huh? Good job out of BT on that.
That's
I knew he'd
fantastic.
come through big with the perfect GIF, too. Very good job.
Very good.
Good job. All right, so Andrew Marchand going to join us at 2 o'clock. We just got that in the last couple of minutes. Lots going on in the media rights world, especially in the association, in terms of what could be happening.
I
there.
have
He's been all over
sleepless nights going on if TNT doesn't get these rights, which I don't think it doesn't look good.
Does not look good. I do think that probably the simple fix is all of the inside the NBA guys would just go to the new entity. The only one I don't know about is Ernie, and he's kind of the straw that stirs the drink. Like if people, for all the Chuck attention, and Chuck's amazing. I love Chuck, but without Ernie's he keeps it moving.
Yeah, and
You gotta
he
have that
knows
guy.
how to poke the bear to get
Yes.
the best results.
He does. Yeah, he's a perfect point guard.
Yeah.
Probably the best host of those type of things that I've ever seen.
Yeah,
And so he'll join at 2 o'clock. D. Orlando 2:15, and then we'll get the mailbag coming
loaded up.
at 2:30. So final hour will be absolutely loaded up. Today is the deadline as we go around the league for teams to pick up the fifth-year option for players. Who has not? Do you have that list?
Yeah. I mean, we went through some of these guys. Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, not being picked up. Let's see. As I scroll down, Justin Fields, so 3 QBs. Mac Jones, 4 QBs. Zaven Collins, the linebacker out of Arizona at 16. Alex Leatherwood, who was cut before his contract was even up.
He was here last year,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yamin Davis, linebacker, Washington. That's an interesting one. Started 36 games for the Commanders the past 3 years. Had his most productive season this past year. Kadarius Toney, wide receiver, Kansas City. Kwity Paye, defensive end, Indy. Kind of surprised that one
Yeah.
has
it
not
came and
happened.
went. Yeah.
Caleb Farley, corner, Tennessee. Najee Harris, the Steelers not picking up the 5th year on him. Eric
I'm a little
Sto-
surprised by
yeah,
that.
I am too. I don't.
I mean, he has not been the most productive, but he also has not played with anybody worth a damn at quarterback.
Correct.
So he's
people
played
just
just
stack
loaded
the box.
boxes constantly for him, and he takes a beating.
Yeah, outside of that's Eric Stokes, Peyton Turner, 2 guys that
Yeah.
whatever. So I mean, there's a couple surprises in there, but for the most part, it's the QBs not getting picked up. 4 of them.
No, makes sense. I just to see this in the last couple hours. The National Park Service says demolition of D.C.'s RFK Stadium can proceed after it evaluated the potential effects on the natural, cultural, and human environment. Next, the National Park Service will issue a permit for D.C. for the demolition. So it has sat – the D.C. United used to play in there. For a while they play in there, but it's been basically unused, vacant for years now. I'm relatively familiar with D.C. It's obviously inside the outer belt, inside the Beltway. I wonder if the new ownership would try to go back in there. I would think not. You don't want to deal with the Park Service and all that.
I don't know.
Why
would
want to go back in there?
I wouldn't want anything to do with that area. Number one, it's not near anything.
No, it's the other side.
How can I get my stadium closer to downtown Washington, D.C.?
Yeah.
I don't know what that looks like. I don't know
this is
how that can
RFK,
happen.
which is inside.
Oh, you're right.
This is old RFK. This is when they
Yeah.
played when we were kids, like the Hogs and all of that. That's a legendary site. That's inside the Beltway.
That's right. I was
the one
thinking
they're in
FedEx.
now
I'm
is
sorry.
FedEx is a disaster.
Correct.
And they want to get out of that. They got a lot to do there. They got to rebrand that thing again. They got to write that, and then they got to get the stadium situated. They got a lot of cash.
I guess
but there's a
maybe
lot to it.
you do want to mess with the Park Service potentially.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it would be cool to have it back in there. That place was cool when they had that set up. Speaking of owners and their money, Dolphins owner Stephen Ross turns down reportedly $10 billion for the control of the team, the stadium, and the F1 race. The Dolphins are valued at $5.7 billion. The Dolphins are worth what somebody's willing to pay for them. This tells me two things. Number one, and Ross turned this down because he wants to keep it in the family and the legacy.
Correct.
He's 83. So that's interesting to me. It tells me, one, he knows it's only going to continue to go up and up and up. Two, I think it's a reflection because I don't think anybody looks at the Miami Dolphins and thinks like glamorous franchise or A-plus franchise in the NFL.
Sure.
But here's what you don't take into consideration, or we don't too oftentimes here. How popular Miami is for foreigners. That city. The F1 race there is a hit. You go down there and you not just South Beach, but you go Key Biscayne, you go Ball Harbor, any of those places, all the way along those beaches. The amount of foreign interests that are there, the amount of vacationing that's done there from Europe, far in the Middle East, far greater than Los Angeles or anywhere else. Like, it's Miami's the spot. So when I see that $10 billion valuation, I think, well, the Dolphins aren't worth $10 billion. No, probably not. But you get a franchise, a stadium, and an F1 race, that would be. And I get it. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think the other, no income tax. No
state tax.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, that's that's an enormous reason. But, yeah, and they, to be fair, I mean, the stadium's just one big club now.
So I haven't been there since they've renovated it. They
Yeah.
put like those overhangs on it so you
Which
get
is
the
great.
shade, which is nice.
Yeah, fine. Probably the worst media setup in the National Football League now.
Well, they built it it was a dual purpose it's the old Joe Robbie Stadium.
So you're sitting in a baseball booth to call a
Right.
game that the windows don't open.
No, that's right, they don't. Is the
it-
press box still like where behind old home plate was, so
Yeah.
they never redid that?
Nope.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, it's sight lines are awful.
The windows are small, and they have all sorts of petition. Like,
Yep.
it's bad. It sucks.
Yeah, but I mean, the fan experience is amazing now.
It's
mean,
better, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they have DJs. They have, I mean, literally, we have to walk our gear through a club after the game. I'm like, great. I'm in a brown shirt. Like, what could go wrong here? These people have been drinking for 6 hours.
Yeah.
This is a club. I mean, there is a DJ. There is a dance floor. Things are getting hot and heavy.
Yeah.
And here comes the Browns radio crew with trunks trying to get downstairs.
What a great idea.
How can I? Yeah, logistically, it's kind of a nightmare.
Yeah. Well, the location of it sucks, too, just for fans down there.
Yeah.
It's tough to get to Miami Gardens. Like, it's not ideal.
No.
Anytime people are critical of the University of Miami attendance, I try to explain to them how far that stadium is from the University of Miami campus.
Yeah.
Like, it's a to-do, okay? It's not like down at Ohio State where you're stumbling into the shoe on a Saturday morning. Like, you got to get in a car and you got to get up there. I think it's got to be on game day at least 35 minutes up there. It's got to be, and that's if there's no traffic. And then you got to park, have a good time, and then find a way back.
Yeah.
So no, it is a mess. That side of it. Steelers running back Jalen Warren saying special teams coach Danny Smith has discussed Justin Fields returning kicks.
This was on.
We're not there yet, are we?
On, I think Cam Hayward's podcast, and there was a studio audience, and he literally was like, "Yeah, the special teams coordinators talked about Justin Fields returning kicks." Like,
are we there yet already?
How about we let him? Let's see if Russ can cook, and if not, let's give Fields the ball. And
they're gonna have a tough. That's going to be interesting how they handle that because they don't have a fifth-year option. They didn't pick up Russ's contract, and they didn't pick up the fifth-year option on Justin.
Correct.
So they're going to want to kick the tires to see which one, maybe neither of them, but if one of them can be either a short-term Band-Aid or a long-term solution for them, they're both going to have to play.
Correct.
That's kind of the way that's going to go.
Yeah.
This, according to Jacksonville.com, the Jaguars will play back-to-back games in London for the second straight season. One is a home team at Wembley. The other is an away team at Tottenham Hotspur, reportedly against the Bears. Tottenham Stadium's amazing, and Wembley's great too. Do you think Shad Khan is still like just keeping that?
I didn't realize that they didn't play back-to-back every year that they went over there.
So they did. They stayed there, and played two. I mean, in the old days, they would go over there a couple of times,
correct,
back and forth. For the longest time, he was at one point. I thought he was in an agreement to buy Wembley. Shad Khan was. I'm pretty sure he was.
I think so.
And it fell apart, but he had an agreement to buy Wembley, and I just assumed that they were going to move to London. And
At that time, yeah.
Yeah, and I just still wondered to this day, is that kind of in the back of his head? Like if he doesn't get what he wants done with a stadium down there? Where are they on that? Are they trying to build a new one? Or
Super quiet. I don't know. I mean, there were renderings. There was a lot of discussion. You remember the whole Herb project?
Well, Herb thought he was building facilities at Big State U. First look at the Jaguars Stadium of the Future. So this is on their team website. Let's see when this was.
But there's been no mention of anything recently.
Okay. I mean, I'm looking at this thing. It looks like a lot of these ones that are out. I'm wondering, this is actually on their website, on the Jaguars website. It's an open air, but it looks like it's, really futuristic. It's right near downtown.
It's probably right down on the water because that's what they bulldozed everything. They got rid of everything.
It's pretty close to the water. Not right on it, but pretty close.
Yeah.
So it's in a similar area as the current one is, just kind of east of downtown. Okay. But I don't know who's paying for it.
Yeah, correct.
And if he doesn't get, it's one thing to put up a schematic. It's another thing to say green light, let's go, print it. I used to have a pretty good handle on that. It's actually right where it's the same, pretty much same spot. Yeah, because they were going to play in for the Gators.
Right. We talked about
they're going
going
Florida.
to Gainesville,
and then they ended up, aren't they going to play in Orlando or something? So they're doing it. So that's
but we haven't heard anything more.
It's been quiet.
Yeah,
it's been very, very quiet. Bears general manager Ryan Poles on taking punter Torrey Taylor, 4th round. Quote, I didn't expect him to get much further, he tells the Maccabee Show. He continues, thought process there is to make anyone who were playing really uncomfortable. I know running onto the field and having the ball spot inside the 10-yard line is a very uncomfortable feeling, and I love taking advantage of the field position, and really that should help us with points as well. I'm going to tell you something. This doesn't bother me at all, them taking a punter. This kid's a dude. So he's the Iowa kid.
Yeah.
So this dude is accurate. He was used as a weapon at Iowa because Kurt Ferentz is allergic to offensive football. So his whole thing is play defense and punt, and it's field position, and this kid aced it. And the Bears don't have that many needs. So if I were to say kick the tires on a 4th round fill-in-the-blank position that's a 25-30% hit rate, or get a sure thing as a punter, I'll take the sure thing. I don't have a problem with it at all.
No.
What holes? They don't have any holes.
Yeah. In the event that you have to punt, if you got a guy that can crush it, great. Rookie deal, 4 years.
Yeah, I have no problem with it.
So
I have no problem with that deal at all. All right, coming up next, who could the Kansas City Chiefs be playing in their season opener? And we'll kind of set the table for our conversation with Andrew Marchand, the NBA rights, which are being dealt with right now, what the future could hold there. That's coming up next. Listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet. Sports betting partner, Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, Andrew Marchand coming up in about 10 minutes from now. I saw this. All right, so this is CBS Sports Gibbe. They rank the top 8 opponents for the Chiefs to face in their season opener on opening night.
So I wasn't the smart one here, and Uno had to set me straight because I'm like, how are the Browns not on this? What's going on? Well, the Browns don't play in Kansas City. Kansas City's going to open at home.
Yes. So give me the opponents, and I'll tell you what it's.
All right. So number 8,
Okay.
or do you want me to just give you?
Just give me the list, and then I'm curious what the.
Obviously Chargers, Broncos, and Raiders.
Yep.
From an AFC North standpoint, the Ravens and Bengals. The Texans.
Ooh.
And then Tampa Bay and New Orleans. Those are their 8 home games in the 2024
Tampa Bay and New
season.
Orleans would be at the very bottom with the Raiders for me.
I would put the Broncos in the bottom.
That's fine.
They
All
suck,
4
too.
of those would be at the bottom. Chargers would be next. So I think the top 3 choices would be, and I would even say in this order, Ravens, Texans, Bengals.
Interesting.
How close were we? What did they go with?
Number 1, the Ravens.
Nailed it.
Number 2, the Bengals.
Okay, so they go Texans 3.
Yep.
Here's my thinking on Texans over Bengals. I know, or at least have a pretty good idea that C.J. Stroud is going to be good to go. If you don't have Burrow, there's no reason to suggest he won't be ready. But look he's played 4 NFL seasons. He's missed 2 of them with significant injuries.
Correct.
So there's nothing that leads me to believe that C.J. Stroud won't be there for the opener. They're kind of the darling of the offseason. No, they're not box office as big as the Bengals are, but I have certainty in roster. I don't have a certainty in the Bengals roster.
So last year, the Chiefs opened at home against the Detroit Lions, and everybody said maybe too much too soon.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, and they lived up to the hype. I would have to think if you're doing that kind of math, that Houston makes the most sense.
Yeah, I'm sure they want Ravens first.
100%, but I feel
And
like
then-
that could be a protected CBS game. That could be a
could
Nance
be.
Romo. We're going to
That could
protect
be,
that.
Yeah. So that would leave, Bengals, Texans. You're going to win either way. You have Mahomes, your box
Yeah.
office.
I mean, even the Chargers
I put
with
the
Harbaugh, that's a
Chargers
good
would be
storyline.
a steady 4th, and then the other 4 would be
Ugh. Put that on at 1 o'clock on
real
a
distant
Sunday.
future.
Yeah.
All right, coming up in about 5 minutes, we're going to have Andrew Marchand on. One of the things that he is all over is this NBA television rights package that's being fought over, and the idea that potentially Turner may not be a part of it. It has been a part of it our entire lives.
Yes.
But it could be real. We'll get into that. Also get his view on what the NFL could be thinking with an 18-game regular season and a protracted playoff in terms of the television deal that could be done there. I may also pick his brain on the college football side of things. Listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, sports betting partner of Cleveland Browns, and live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
far as Amazon Prime Video is going to get a package, and likely some conference finals over the 10 years or so that these agreements go for. And now it's down to what happens between the incumbent TNT Sports, which is facing off with NBC, Comcast, which also has Peacock. That's where it's inside the NBA. Well, they're all going to become free agents. And so is there a chance the show could remain together? Yeah, I think that's possible. More likely is, they're signed by other entities, be it ESPN, Amazon, or NBC in this scenario. I think that's more likely than them going all together. And yeah, it's been an iconic show. I would say probably the best studio show in sports media history.
Yeah.
And so, things do end. But I do think the biggest reason it's the best show is Barkley. And I think when you look at it at the end of the day, where he goes is where the sweepstakes goes, because he makes everybody better. And that doesn't take anything away from all the other parts of that show, because Ernie is a great host, Ernie Johnson. Shaq, he's grown in that role. At first he wasn't that great, but especially his friendship with Barkley just comes out so well. And then Kenny Smith serves his purpose. He's kind of like the third analyst who has his place in terms of just it fits very well together. So, does that show survive if Turner loses it? I would say probably not. At least, maybe a couple of those guys stay together. But I don't think the whole show necessarily survives.
So, Andrew, one in the dealings I do with Ohio State and the Big Ten, one thing I noticed was that when those rights came up, you would see Buckeye games on Peacock. And the reason for that is people around here really like watching Ohio State play football, and so they subscribe for Peacock. So when I'm looking at this, and you're talking about you brought up Warner Discovery, for example. What is happening, and you can correct me where I'm wrong here, these streamers realize that live sports are about as good a content as you can get to drive up subscribers. So big picture, what does Warner Discovery look like if they don't have the NBA long term? Does that put in jeopardy? They had an agreement at one point with ESPN, correct, where they were going to put together something where they were all kind of working together. And then furthermore, for the health of Peacock going forward, they would have Big Ten football and basketball and the NBA. For a streamer that has struggled, that would have to be an incredible boon.
The key to all these streamers is to have one thing that you want to watch per month. Now, you might be listening and saying, wait, I'm not just paying for one thing. But if they can satisfy you that you really have to have something, once a month, then you don't think about canceling, because it's easy to cancel and add these things back and forth, as opposed to back in the day when we just had cable. Nobody thought about, if you didn't watch the Guardians game back in the day, you didn't say, oh, well, maybe I should get rid of cable. But now, if you had a direct-to-consumer option where you just bought Guardians games, you know what? You don't watch it for a month. You say, well, wait, what am I paying for this? Mm-hmm. And then that's how they lose you. So for these streamers, it is. I mean, the one thing that they don't like is you're leasing the content as opposed to buying it. That's why these deals, I believe, are so long now, because 10 years is a long. That's what it's going to be. 10 years or probably longer. So for the streamers and for everyone, it allows them to have certainty for a long time with it. And so, they want to get the Ohio State fan, NBA fan, just to pay for Peacock all year, and it's a good way to do it and to get people in, because it's hard to create hit shows. There's not that many Stranger Things, like Ted Lasso. There's just not that many. And then once you watch them, you need Apple TV Plus if you watch Ted Lasso and like the morning show. You have Netflix and these other things. Like, how many streamers do you need? And most people kind of, are making choices now at this point with so many places having it. That's why there's going to be consolidation over time.
Andrew, it'd be an amazing thing if there was just one thing that had all of the channels you want, and you just paid one fee for all of it. I say that tongue in cheek. Aren't we just going to re-engineer cable? You know what I mean? Like, isn't that where we're headed?
Yeah. When they announced the ESPN, Fox, and Warner Brothers Discovery deal that you just referenced, that's going to start in the fall, where you'll be able to have all three of those entities. I said, like, one day these brilliant TV executives are going to come together and they're going to create cable. Yeah, I mean, the problem is, right? That's
crazy.
The problem is, though, it's kind of a good thing and a bad thing. So, the way people win in media throughout history is who has the best distribution. We can talk about Browns Daily, we can talk about what I write, talk about whatever it is. The biggest way to win is distribution. So that dates back to the printing press, where one person owned. The old adage was never get in a fight with someone who buys ink by the barrel, because they only had the distribution of the newspaper. Nobody else had that voice. So what's happened over time is now, because of the internet, you can, you and I, in theory, can distribute content as well as billion-dollar companies. Like, anybody could hear this show anywhere in the world. And so, obviously these big companies have an advantage. Their reach and money, and there's advantages to that, but it's not as much as it once was. And so that has allowed more players to get into the game, which in theory should be good. But as we've seen with the internet, a lot of things that in theory about the internet were supposed to be good, we see the downside, in terms of like truth and disinformation and all that kind of stuff, that was supposed to be, information, everyone will get it. Instead, bad actors kind of can win the day as well. And so, in terms of distribution, yes, there's going to be consolidation just because there's not enough people to pay for all this, but I don't think it's going to be as simple, most likely not as simple as what we had with cable, which, nobody liked their cable company back in the day. So it wasn't all, flowers and ice cream with the cable companies, but, this system does not work for a sports fan. It's confusing, it's difficult. And I do think when you do these deals, if you're the NBA or, I think football obviously has the advantage because it's the most popular. You have to think about who's going to see it and how they're going to see it, and are you making it accessible for your fans? Because you got to keep regrowing fans. And I think that's a big issue going forward, because younger people are watching this stuff, off of TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, as opposed to watching full games.
Talking to Andrew Marchand, he's the best in the business. He's the Athletic on all of the media business that's happening, the NBA, top of mind currently now. What do you think the numbers will come in on this? I heard Cuban it's been recently within the last couple of years talking about, look, there's going to come a point where, like, can we always continue to make more and more and more? How much more and more and more will be in this deal for the NBA? And then what does that say about what in the future could happen for the NFL? Or is the NFL just in a league entirely of its own?
Well, I think it probably doubles what they get. The NFL is in a league of its own. It has an opt-out in 29 for its contracts, and it went for 11 years. So, the NFL, because if you were to start the NBA today, I don't think you'd have 82 games. I think you'd probably have like 50-something, maybe 60. And because the problem, the NFL, it has scarcity, which makes every game important, makes the system the best. So a week one game, Browns-Steelers, means a lot, because that could determine the playoff, if you make the playoffs, if you win the division, et cetera. And that happens for 17 games during the regular season. So every game is important. NBA, they started the in-season tournament, which personally I think is a good idea. However, it does even exacerbate the point that the rest of the regular season games are not that important. And so that's an issue. They don't have scarcity. And then even the playoffs, as good as they've been so far, at least around here, because of the Knicks, and, some of these other good games that we've seen, but especially the Knicks, it's still, these playoffs aren't going to be done for another 6 weeks. It goes on forever. The games are too spread out, in my opinion, in terms of momentum of these games. It's fine. I mean, it's not bad, but again, it's just not like it's not, if you started from scratch, I don't think this is exactly the system that you had. It's just the owners are not going to want to go backwards in terms of attendance and, in terms of short term. But I think long term, they'd be better.
I would agree with you on that. You mentioned the word scarcity. I'll get you out of here on this one. College football has scarcity. We've seen from a rating standpoint that it's second to the NFL, only to the NFL in terms of ratings. They did not go to market with their college football playoff yet. My sense is, talking to people around the sport, that they kind of want to see how the next 2 years are. What could college football become, and how big of a player could college football become in this world in the next decade?
Well, the college football playoff is going to be with ESPN for, through the 2030s. The question is what college football looks like. We did a big story about, one plan, which includes the number 2 at the NFL, Brian Rolapp, in terms of how you could change college football. But I think you're going to see more change. I mean, we've seen so much friction with the realignment of teams, and some of it doesn't really make any sense when you look at the geography. And so I think you're going to see more of that, and players are going to be paid, in some form more directly than just NIL. And so I think as we go forward, it's a state of transition still for college football. We're going to get the expanded playoffs this upcoming year. I do think that will be exciting for people, even if the first couple of rounds aren't good. It's again, talking about systems. It's a better system. Like, why are voters determining any aspect of it? Like 12 teams, you could have some, football, you're not going to really have Cinderella. It's just not very likely. If they do this, if they have this college football for 50 years, could there be a couple of times, one or two times, where a team makes a run? Yeah, I think so, but you just don't. It's usually there's just the physicality of teams is just too different for too many upsets, especially when there's going to be a home field advantage. But I do think that it is a better, in terms of playing, forgetting the student athlete aspect of it. In terms of playing, I think where we're going is a better place because it should be determined on the field. It's kind of ludicrous that forever, at one point it was just writers deciding, and now even, like who's in the playoff, 4 teams, 12 teams, you're not going to really leave it. 13, if you're 13th, I mean, you got really no excuses if you're 13th out of 12 teams, that you deserve to be in the playoff.
Andrew, I thoroughly enjoy your work and love having the opportunity to talk to you. Thanks for your time today.
Thanks.
All right, that's Andrew Marchand, The Athletic, joining us there. D. Orlando coming up next on the Atlanta situation. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. And be part of one of the most passionate fan base in the NFL. Join Next Gen STM presented by Ticketmaster, the official wait list of your Cleveland Browns. Being a Next Gen STM, the best chance to become a season ticket member in future seasons. Visit clevelandbrowns.com/nextgenstm to reserve your spot today. We head out on the Twisted Tea hotline, brought to you by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it Twisted, Cleveland. He is a great, great friend of the program. He covers the Falcons at an expert level at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. He is D. Orlando Ledbetter. Okay, I heard your questioning on the Michael Penix pick in the press conference, my friend. We thank you so much for your time. Do you believe their answers that they gave to the drafting of Penix, and do you think, have you come around, do you think that this will work?
Yeah, I believe their answers because I had to live through Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ridder for 2 years. They didn't do a good job of transitioning from Matt Ryan. They lost to Cleveland in the Deshaun Watson Derby. When they got a chance to get a quarterback, they took it. And they took it twice when they got Cousins and doubled down on Penix to stabilize that position for, they said, 5 years. It could be, more.
So when this happens, it sends shockwaves throughout the league. Did you have any inkling that they could be going this way?
Yeah, I had it in my mock 3.0.
You
They
did?
were taking Penix. Yeah, I did on April the 5th after they went out and visited him. And then I had it on the day before the draft, and our 5 guys on the radar. Michael Penix was one with the 4 defenders that we had picked. Lata, Dallas Turner, who everybody thought was coming here, and Verse, and then the Brian Murphy. And then Penix was our 5th guy on the radar. So we kind of, knew they'd been kicking around a quarterback, but didn't think they, would actually go best player available in their mind. And we thought they'd go need and take Turner and help the defense because the defense it was in the bottom half of the league in just about everything last year.
Who specifically became enamored? I get the process. I get the thinking of we're not going to have a chance to draft a good one because we're really good. Their roster's really good, and they're going to win a lot of games with Cousins. So I understand the thinking there. What was it specifically about Penix, and was there someone in the organization who just really believed in him?
Yeah, the person, that's my Sunday story I was working on, and that person was Joel Collier. He was the area scout for Penix. He's a former assistant GM with the Chiefs from 2008 to 2013 with Scott Pioli and that crew that built the foundation of the Chiefs Super Bowl team. And handed it over to John Dorsey and them, and they finished it off. But, he was the guy, Joel Collier. He came back, and he was raving about him. Then they did the cross-checks, and the scouts had him up there high. And then the coaches came in, and the coaches didn't want to overrule the scouts, and that's how the Penix pick started.
Man, so that you're going to have that story Sunday in the AJC then?
Yeah,
okay,
good. I'll post here, but once they edit me, they'll post today, and it'll be in the Sunday AJC on the finding of Michael Penix.
That's fantastic. Look forward to reading that because it's a fascinating journey that leads to here. So it feels like they were all aligned, but is it fair to say the one place they weren't aligned is with the communication with Kirk Cousins? And if that was not the case, how have they gone about remedying that?
Yeah, I talked to Kurt. Everything's been smoothed out. But I think, they didn't really want to tell Kurt because last time they told Kurt stuff, they got busted for tampering. So Kurt they probably didn't need Kurt in the loop on this one. But, it probably wasn't decided until, the board actually dropped the way they thought it was going to drop. So, they're professionals here, no hard feelings. But, they're trying to stabilize the franchise for the next, 5 to 10 years. So, initially him and his people were shocked. Mike McCarthy reached out to everybody and let them know that they weren't kept in the loop. I mean, he's 35 and coming off a ruptured Achilles. What do you expect?
No, I'm with you on that. So, all right, give me their dream timeline here. How does this thing play out?
Yeah, their dream timeline is Kurt starts for 2 years and wins the Super Bowl. Then that third year with the guaranteed money, maybe he gives way to Penix, and then maybe that fourth year he sticks around and leaves Penix, backs up Penix for that fourth year when he's 39 or so.
Here's the one fly in the ointment, and I'm curious your thoughts on this. All of this sounds well and good, like in a video game world, right, where human emotions aren't involved and where fans aren't there. But guess who's going to be at minicamp throwing rainbows? Michael Penix Jr. Guess who's going to be at training camp throwing rainbows? Michael Penix Jr. The first time Cousins struggles, what is that stadium like, and how have they considered what that's going to be like? Cousins is a veteran. The thinking is he can handle it. And have you thought about how they'll handle all of that? The fans I'm talking about of Atlanta.
Oh, we know exactly how they're going to do it. Just like when Michael Vick was the quarterback, the backup quarterback is the most popular guy in Atlanta, and it's been that way for 20 years, going back to Matt Schaub, Dominic Davis, Ritter. So whoever the backup quarterback was going to be, last year was Tyler Heineke. He could have ran for mayor last year, Taylor Heineke. So, as soon as he messed up, the Penix calls are going to come. We already know what's going to happen because they came for lesser people. When Matt Schaub was a second-round pick playing behind Vic, he had a bad game. They wanted Matt Schaub. Ryan only had he threw a 2-pick interception game, which he only had like 10 of those. They were calling for Dominic Davis. They was like, it's about time to see Dominic Davis. Oh, East Carolina quarterback. So we know what's going to happen, but that's been a part of the fabric of Falcon football for a while now.
You're the best, buddy. Thank you for your time and your work.
All right. Thank you all so much for having me.
That's the great D. Orlando Ledbetter joining us there on the Twisted Tea Hotline, brought to you by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns.
He is fantastic.
He's the best.
How about him having Penix?
Had it.
On a mock.
There were two people who had it. Him and Lockenfora had it in the Washington Post. Both of those guys had it. So the whispers were out there, as it were. It is a Mailbag Thursday. The final Griff thought fact of the day is coming up in this next segment as well. So we will do that. That's coming up next. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. Welcome back into Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Time for one final Griff Fact of the Day.
Fact of the day, fact of the day, fact of the day. It's the Griff Fact of the Day.
According to Griff's math this morning, Griff and I have done approximately 210 shows as members of Cleveland Browns Daily. Since July of last year, it's been.
What a crazy.
What does it say about as many that we've done?
Take that number and multiply.
You guys got 11 wins.
Yeah, you did. All they know is winning.
Well,
it took me about 700 days to get 2 wins.
That's right. That's right.
I was a fan of this team my whole life, so there was some years that we were not winning.
Man, that's a lot of shows. It's a lot of content.
Didn't feel like it was that many, but it went by fast.
Depends on the time of year.
Yes,
true. That's true.
And we are approaching that time.
We are entering that time. Yeah. No, I always, and I don't know if you guys will, if you stay in, sports media, or if you, I know it's what you want to, but one thing that I always tell people about, especially if you're in a job in football, or you do something that revolves around football, as I do and as Gibby has for many years, the football season is a sprint. You wake up one day in late July or early August, and you go to work, and it's training camp, and you blink, and the season's over, and you go, "What the hell just happened?"
That's
kind of
really
what
felt.
it's like.
Yeah, kind of how it felt for me this year. I started at the Greenbrier, and then all of a sudden it was the playoffs, and I was like, "Where did all that just go?"
Yeah, because it's a routine. There's a routine of it, and honestly, this job, like aside from the football side of it, and I'm sure you felt this way too, there's a routine that I have. Monday is this, Tuesday is this, even in the off season, Wednesday is this, Thursday is this, Friday is this, and so you just do that day, that version of that day over and over and over again over the course of a year.
Yeah.
Is really how it goes.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely in season you could start to feel that, like, oh, Monday we're going to do this, and Tuesday we're going to do this, and here's my job for the day. Yeah, it's very, very.
Yeah. Yeah, it certainly goes quick. So you guys started, was it a week before camp?
Griff started a little before I did.
Uno's start date was 48 hours before we left
Yeah.
for the Greenbrier, and I was like, by the way, pack a bag. You're going to the Greenbrier for a week.
Wait a second. You started, and then you're going to go to America's. What do they call that place? America's
I think
Premier
you started
Resort.
on the Monday.
It's America's Resort.
I
Isn't
don't
that what
even
they
know
call
if it was that Monday. I think I might have done like a Thursday and a Friday here.
No, because we left. You guys left Saturday.
And we
I
left
left
on
Friday.
Saturday. So I think I did the Friday. I ran the board, having never met them, and then left on Saturday to go to the Greenbrier.
Well oiled.
This guy right here.
So it was. Yeah. You went. Your very first thing was welcome aboard. We're going to America's Resort.
Yep. Good luck.
But you're not
Wish you all the best
staying
of
at
luck.
America's Resort.
No.
Also that. You're going to have no car, and you're going to be stuck in a motel outside of, in the middle of nowhere.
The glamour of it all, boys. Well, very, very good. 210 shows. That's a nice number. Nice round number.
Yeah.
That's good.
Is there a most memorable moment for either one of you over the last 8 months? Whether it was this show or something else?
I really enjoyed watching Griff's reaction to his Griff Day intro. That was setting that up forever will be one of my favorite things that I've done with Yellowstone. The collaboration that we had back and forth, calling the mayor of his town. Yellowstone called the bowling alley that he played at when he was a kid. Like, it was awesome.
That was pretty great.
Yes.
That was very strong.
Griff?
I mean, I have so many memories. As far as the video side of things, I've really enjoyed shooting sideline sound, getting
cleated in Cincinnati.
What was that?
Getting cleated in Cincinnati.
Yeah, getting cleated in Cincinnati. Thanks, Dax Hill, for that. And then as far as CBD, there's so many. I enjoy listening to the adventures of Bootsy all the time, off-season Nate, you name it. But more importantly, I really enjoyed whenever we did Victory Mondays.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are fun.
We got to do a few
are.
of those.
Yeah, those are fun. That's the doing this gig, like when you know how much an operation means to its fans, and you're able to share. Z and I years ago, we always talk about pure joy, and there are a few things more euphoric than I remember. Like the first time you dropped a Renegade after we beat Pittsburgh and advanced the postseason, I was like, my God, Gibby chose violence on the Steelers, like those type of things, and like those vignettes and Jim's voice and all of it, and then into it, and it feels like you are celebrating with the collective. Is what it is. So you guys played a huge role in that. You guys are both absolutely great on that all along. I would say, by the way, Griff as Jesus Quintana in The Big Lebowski, thanks to Brown's therapy, would have to be a highlight.
Yes, thank you so much for that. Greatly appreciated.
That is unbelievable.
The interaction from social media that I have gotten over the last 2 weeks from our fan base has been insane. Like the follows, the mentions, all of it has just been crazy. Like people are like, "We're gonna miss you," and I'm like, "That's wild to me that I've made it. Like I left that impact on people."
Well, it's a credit to the both of you.
Correct.
That you guys also. It's a credit to the both of you, the job you did and the enthusiasm you had for the job. Because one thing that we talked about, when you bring somebody in, like. And Gibby and I talked about it, and Z, we all talked about it. Like, it has to be somebody who gets the show or is willing to get the show.
Buy-in.
You got to have the buy-in, because then you get this. Everything that you guys my God, my Twitter mentions are lit up. Browns backers, North Jersey. Thank you, Uno and Griff, for all you brought to the show. Good luck with your future endeavors. There's a billion of these.
Yeah, I read them for hours last night.
Yeah, it's tons of them. But there's a family component to this fan base that is very real, and you're in it now. So that was very, very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, 210 episodes in, I'm going to drop this bombshell on you. Who in this studio
I know
area
where this is going.
Was a model, a clothing model, and the pictures are still available online for said clothing model?
Well, it's him. I'm thinking you were you were a model for. It's not the Gap. Were you a model for Old Navy? No.
I don't think you're ever gonna get it.
No. It's obscure. How obscure?
My previous employment was at Rally House.
Oh.
He was a model.
And so each branch has their own individual Instagram. And so I was part of running the Instagram for the Beechwood branch and posted a ton of pictures of me and Browns and Guardians and Cavs.
And it doesn't even look like him. Number one, there's no facial hair.
I looked a little different back then. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. I love it. Slinging the Rally House.
Uh-huh.
That's perfect. By the way, I like a Rally House. I like sometimes to be able to just go to a store and buy something.
Yes.
I like it.
It's a great store. I had no
problem.
problem.
They got everything. Yeah, it was very strong. I like a Rally House. No problem with those guys.
Brown's Therapy just dropped a Step Brothers with the two of them.
See? Welcome, boys.
As our two interns right off in the sunset, I want to wish them all the best. Best wishes on your next adventure. You will be missed, boys. Hashtag 210 shows.
Oh, that's very good.
More from the mailbag.
I should say the mailbag is presented by the Cross Country Mortgage Company, the official mortgage partner of your Cleveland Browns. When it comes to financing, they'll always get you home. Visit ccm.com today. Equal housing opportunity, NMLS 3029.
Now from the Clown is crushing Zagura today.
Read it. Go ahead.
There's a couple. This is unbelievable work in regards to the Jesus.
Yeah.
BT for the win, and the franchise nowhere to be found. Sad lack of commitment to Uno and Griff.
Turning on the franchise.
Yeah. He did give us a very nice goodbye yesterday.
After several days of defending Big B Nathan Zagura against various allegations, now he's MIA, leaving Uncle Bo and Gibbe to hold down the fort. Sad. My Ask Browns Daily question, should the, quote, franchise get a down arrow for abandoning Uno and Griff on the last day? I'll leave that to Uno and Griff.
Down arrow?
I think Griff's going to – which –
if you couldn't hear that –
he said, I'm getting out of my seat right now.
He did give us a very nice goodbye yesterday and was very sad that he wasn't going to be here today, and we do miss him.
He just chose golf over you.
Yeah,
correct.
Is what it amounts to.
That's all it is.
Which is fine. He's got the time. Yeah,
he does.
Down arrow from Griff for Papa Z.
He's going to walk in and we're not even going to be here.
No, he is. Will be funny next week when he walks back. That's good.
Trey Carey tweets at the show, what is Uno's favorite vacation spot?
Aruba, where I went with my family this summer, or last summer.
There you go. What
Griff,
about
you got a
Griff?
favorite vacation?
Anywhere where the mountains are.
Anywhere where the mountains are for Griff.
Oh.
Because he's never been to the ocean, so.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
The entire Rocky Mountain front.
Preston put something. You're my boy, Blue. Both of you guys will be dearly missed. Stay golden, pony boys.
That's pretty good.
Bo from Browns Backers, North Jersey. Have you shown NBC more episodes of Friday Night Lights? If so, what's his reaction been?
So he watched. I put him on to, and let's just to be clear. So this is what this is. I don't want him being fed YouTube nonsense.
Correct.
So I am essentially being a YouTube aggregator, and I am pushing him to things that I think at least are quality entertainment versus YouTube nonsense. So to that end, he was looking. He goes, "This is good, but I need something. This isn't that funny or anything." I'm like, "Okay, what about Arrested Development?" So I put him on to Arrested Development. He blew through that like 3 seasons in a weekend. He was crushed that. A little more than that, maybe in a week. And so last night he was looking for something because he said, like, because when Netflix takes over Arrested Development, the 4th and 5th seasons are not nearly as good.
Correct.
They just aren't. Before that, it's unbelievable. But so I put him. I was looking for something, and I used to do news when I was at CBS in Columbus at 10 o'clock. The CW paid us to do their news, and there was a show that aired right before we did, or maybe it was WB. I can't remember. One of those networks. And so basically we just do the 11 o'clock newscast twice. That's what it amounted to. And there was a show called One Tree Hill that was on. So it was about high school kids, and it was around basketball. So that's his favorite sport. So we watched the first episode of that last night. I had only seen the show like out of the corner of my eye, like waiting for it to end so I could go do the news. And so I watched it with him. It's fine. It's very appropriate. For those who are not familiar, probably like a Dawson's Creek 90210 type of vibe to it. Had that type of vibe to it. But it's around basketball. So the one takeaway from that was the kid who's like the big bad can shoot it. Legit. Like he must have played somewhere. Like he's got a decent stroke to him. So we did watch that. We did watch another episode of Friday Night Lights. Friday Night Lights just a little heavier.
Yes.
It's not as much, this
There's
other
a darker
show.
side.
It is, and it tackles a lot of heavy issues. Like this show just tackles like boyfriends and girlfriends and stuff like that. So this might be more his speed.
Especially given what's going on with him and the ladies these days.
Well, he's out
He's
on
a
him
ladies'
now.
man.
Now he's out.
Oh,
he doesn't want one the rest of the year, is what
Perfect.
he said. No
Good.
girlfriends the rest of the year.
Perfect.
I
Good.
said, my guess, here's what I predicted. I said, you're probably going to paratroop back in end of the year because there'll be like a party thing.
Yep.
And that's when you're going to want to get back in the
I
mix.
can see that.
Get back in the mix.
Enough from the clown. A few more things for Uno and Griff. The thing that surprised you most working here?
I think it was like how welcoming all of the football side of the people were. I was expecting it from you guys and from like the video, but the football people were incredibly welcoming to me when I would be in the locker room or the media room, and that was very nice of them.
Including your quarterback?
Oh yeah, for sure.
There you go. Griff?
Griff agrees with that. That's what he's gonna go with.
All right.
Griff agrees with that.
Something you learned you didn't anticipate.
That's a good one.
Tough questions from the clown.
To be more aware of what I'm writing on these rundowns, because sometimes I didn't do the best that I
There
could
you
have, and I needed
go.
to be more aware of it.
I've done my job.
I wrote
That's it.
rundowns in college, and I just blew through them, and I would just avoid the mistakes, but you can't do that here, so that was mine.
Attention
Surprised me
to
a lot.
detail,
The
my
good
friend.
news is that when one of those things would happen, no one would bring it up or make light of it or bring it
No,
attention.
I've never heard Ron Burgundy in my life.
Griff, you got one or no?
I think for me, as far as, especially on the video side of things, just how much of a process it is as far as making these large projects that we've done in the past. This was definitely an eye-opener for me. Pre-production phase definitely was something new for me, but I enjoyed every minute of it, and I would say just how much it takes as far as making these projects, for sure.
All right, Griff, well, I got you right there.
Sure.
If you had to choose one lifelong mentor, Gibbe, Uncle Bo, or the franchise who is MIA today,
He's MIA, yeah.
who would you pick and why? I didn't. That's not my words. That's his.
That puts him in a tough spot.
That's impossible.
I can't just.
So
choose
forget
one
mentor.
over the
Let me
other.
just one life coach.
One life coach. Just anyone in general?
No, of the three of us.
Okay.
Not mentor. Mentor's different. That's like a more serious thing, but
Yeah.
just like life coach.
Man, you're putting me on the spot here. If I've really had to choose one of you guys, it would probably be Gibbs, just because of how much time I've spent with him and how much he's just been a role model for me since I've been here, and I greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely, my friend. You earned it all. You did well.
Uno?
It's really tough. I feel like I want to pick Bo because of he grew up in like a way different world than I grew up in Montana, and there's all this stuff that I've never seen or done before that I think Bo could really, like, even just like from a movie standpoint of things I've never seen, could put me on so much stuff that I've never been a part of in my life.
Well, you got it, buddy. Anytime you need anything, I got you.
All right.
I got you, buddy.
Absolutely.
You're in.
Dude, the Zoolander now. He's got you
It's
guys on
it's all over the
Zoolander.
place. I had 17 Twitter notifications.
What he's capable of is
It's in rapid fire fashion.
really quickly can get things done.
I don't
in a
even know how many years
real
into
hurry.
this. 6 years into this.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No, these guys are great. I've run internship programs at ESPN. I think it took 4 years before I had an intern here. And
Yeah.
these two clearly head and shoulders above everybody else. So I
Nice.
can't thank you guys enough. I'm going to miss you guys more than I think you're going to miss the job itself. But if you need anything, the three of us are all here for you and happy to help.
It's much appreciated.
All right.
Absolutely.
So much. Are we done? Good
Yeah, I
mailbag.
think
We're
we're
mailbagged
good.
out. All right, we're mailbagged out. So much more to come. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right. I would say this to the both of you. You are everything that an intern should be. Prepared, eager, hungry, great sense of humor. You guys had great sense of humor about it. Your work ethic, your effort, from a serious standpoint, anytime that I walked in here, and as you guys know, I come in hot, knew we were going to be in good shape with both of you guys. Anything you need, I got your back on any of it. References, anything. I say that publicly. I've told that both of you guys privately as well. The thing that I think for the kids out there listening is when you have an opportunity like this, you have to take advantage of it. And I think you guys did. And that's a credit to you guys as people, your parents, and everybody who raised you, that you're the type of people who take advantage of things that are presented to you.
I mean, working for my childhood team was like a dream come true. So I felt like you have to give it your best no matter what. And I would say that I would agree. Like, no matter what the job's going to be, you have to do that. So it was awesome for me to be able to do that. I'm glad that I lived up to the expectations.
You did, my friend. You did.
You guys crushed it. We'll miss you. Miss you big time.
I will miss the show. I'm going to try and listen, but I will miss the show.
Well, participate. You could tweet. You could tweet us.
Yeah.
God knows Zagura reads every tweet.
It's true.
He does. From the thousands we get every day.
Just ask him. One. He's reading every one. All right. We've got a special victory edition of the show tomorrow. So we're going to do this all summer. The first one airs tomorrow. We think you're going to love it. It's a look back at the opener against the Bengals. Gibby did a great job with this. It's going to be a fun 2 hours tomorrow on the program. You have that to look forward to, which is nice. The next level is coming up next. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.